Stop picturing a red devil. The original version was actually green. For centuries, the Prince of Darkness didn't wear scarlet, he wore the mossy hues of a swamp predator. We've been conditioned to see red as the ultimate symbol of sin. If you've ever wondered why our modern nightmares are painted in fire and blood, you're looking at a carefully constructed PR campaign. The official record says one thing. The truth says another. By the end of this video, you'll see evil in a new light. Most people try to explain the red devil by pointing to hellfire, but here's why that logic fails. Early Christians didn't associate fire with red, they associated it with blinding white light or suffocating black smoke. The red devil isn't an ancient truth, it's a medieval invention born from plague, politics, and a very expensive pigment. If we keep looking at the red version, we miss the terrifying reality of what evil used to look like. In the early Middle Ages, the devil was a beast of nature. He was green, scaly, and reptilian, a literal serpent from the Garden of Eden. Think of a grotesque goblin or a decaying corpse. Green was the color of rot, of stagnant water, and of the wild, untamed woods where demons were said to dwell. To a medieval peasant, a red devil wouldn't be scary, it would be confusing. Green was the color of the predator. But then, the palette of the underworld began to shift. It wasn't a sudden change, but a slow, rhythmic migration from the forest to the furnace. Artists began experimenting with new minerals, and the church began looking for a more visceral way to scare the masses into submission. As cities grew and the wilderness was pushed back, the green man of the woods became less threatening, and a new, hotter terror was needed. What nobody tells you about the color of evil is that it was largely determined by the price of paint. Before the 14th century, red pigment was incredibly rare and reserved for the robes of kings and the blood of martyrs. It was a holy color. To paint the devil in red would have been seen as a compliment, not an insult. But as trade routes opened and new pigments like vermilion became accessible, the church saw an opportunity to redefine the visual language of damnation. Vermilion, made from ground cinnabar, was toxic, volatile, and strikingly bright. It captured the eye unlike any green or brown could. When artists started using it for the devil, it wasn't just about the color, it was about the intensity. Suddenly, the devil didn't just look like a monster, he looked like an emergency. He became a visual siren, a warning that could be seen from the back of a dark cathedral. This was the first step in the great redesign. Then came Dante Alighieri. In his Divine Comedy, he described a tricolored Lucifer trapped in ice. One face was yellow, one was black, and the front face, the most prominent, was a weeping, bloody red. Dante wasn't just picking colors at random, he was subverting the Holy Trinity. By giving the devil a red face, he was creating a twisted mirror of divine love. This literary masterpiece solidified the red image in the European psyche, moving it from the fringe to the center of theology. Then, the world turned upside down. The Black Death swept through Europe, and death was no longer a distant concept, it was in the streets. The imagery of the devil shifted from a distant forest creature to a visceral, fleshy tormentor. Red became associated with the fever, the blood-coughed lungs, and the inflammatory buboes of the plague. Evil was no longer cold and green, it was hot, pulsing, and infectious. The red devil was born from the trauma of a dying continent. As the Renaissance bloomed, the devil became more humanoid. He lost the scales and kept the skin, but that skin was now permanently stained. Artists like Bosch and Bruegel began populating their hellscapes with creatures that looked uncomfortably human, but with the angry, flayed complexion of raw meat. This shift made evil personal. It wasn't a snake in the grass anymore, it was a reflection of the violence humans were capable of inflicting on one another during the religious wars. Psychologically, the shift was devastatingly effective. Red is the first color the human eye perceives after birth. It triggers our fight or flight response. By painting the devil red, the church tapped into a primal biological fear. Green is the color of life and growth, red is the color of the boundary being broken. When you bleed, you see red. When you burn, you see red. The color of evil became the color of our own mortality, staring back at us. Remember what I said at the start? Here's why that matters even more, the red devil wasn't just a religious icon, it was a political weapon. During the Reformation, the color red became the center of a propaganda war. Protestants began depicting the Pope in scarlet robes, linking the Whore of Babylon from the Book of Revelation to the Catholic hierarchy. To fight back, the Catholic Church leaned even harder into the red devil, trying to reclaim the color for the ultimate enemy. Now it gets interesting, because this is the part most people miss. The permanent nature of red dye played a symbolic role. In the book of Isaiah, it says, "Though your sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow." Red was seen as a stain that couldn't be washed out by human hands. By making the devil red, they were saying that evil is an indelible mark on the soul. It was a visual metaphor for the hopelessness of sin without divine intervention. We see this culminate in the imagery of the scarlet beast. This wasn't just a monster, it was a symbol of worldly corruption and excess. Red was the color of the elite, the color of the wealthy, and the color of the powerful. By painting the devil in the same hue as a king's cloak, the artists were making a subtle, dangerous point, that the greatest evils often wear the finest clothes. The red devil was a critique of power disguised as a religious warning. By the 18th and 19th centuries, the red devil was so entrenched in Western culture that we forgot he was ever anything else. From Milton's Paradise Lost to modern cinema, the red silhouette became shorthand for evil. We stopped seeing the green, scaly beast of the medieval woods and started seeing the sophisticated, red-suited tempter. The transition was complete. The natural predator had been replaced by a psychological one, and the color palette of our nightmares was set in stone. Look at the evolution of art in the Louvre. If you walk through the medieval wing, the demons are muddy, verdant, and animalistic. But as you move into the Baroque and Romantic periods, the halls begin to glow with vermilion. This isn't just a change in style, it's a map of how the human mind changed its definition of fear. Historians have noted that as we moved away from nature, our devils moved away from green. Chemical analysis of 15th century manuscripts shows a massive spike in the use of minium and cinnabar, the two primary red pigments, specifically in scenes depicting the underworld. Before this period, these expensive minerals were almost exclusively used for capital letters in Bibles or the robes of Christ. The data suggests a deliberate redirection of resources to paint the face of the enemy. The church literally invested in the color of evil. So, the next time you see a cartoon devil with a red pitchfork, remember the green serpent of the 12th century. The red you see isn't ancient, it's a layer of paint applied over centuries of trauma, trade, and theology. We didn't discover the devil was red, we decided he was. And in doing so, we changed how we perceive danger itself. We stopped fearing the rot of the swamp and started fearing the heat of the blood. Before this video, you saw the devil as a fixed icon. After this video, you see him as a canvas of history. If you want to uncover more stories they removed from the record, hit the subscribe button. We're diving deep into the chapters that were meant to stay hidden. What color will we uncover next? History remembers the victors. We remember the rest. The Red Devil is just one chapter in a much larger book of secrets. Keep questioning the colors you're shown, because the truth is often hidden in the shades we've forgotten. I'm the historian, and this was a deleted chapter. See you in the archives.